bygone era, a ruler named Mupazo reigned over Mazo village, earning a reputation as a tyrant. His oppressive rule included seizing others' wives and plundering their livestock, causing discontent among the villagers. Expressing grievances was met with the threat of death. One fateful day, King Mupazo forcibly took a villager's wife, leading to a heinous act. Enraged, the husband confronted the king, only to meet a tragic end at the hands of the ruler's guards. In his dying moments, the husband uttered a prophetic warning, declaring, "You shall see. There will be no peace in this village even if I'm dead." Dismissing the words as inconsequential, King Mupazo commanded his guards to continue their ruthless enforcement, oblivious to the ominous fate foretold by the fallen villager. Time kept moving, and so did the nights. The king kept doing bad things without anyone stopping him. People were scared and sad. Their wives and animals were taken away, making life tough. Villagers wondered why God had left them in such a hard situation. One day, a spirit medium arrived and told the king to change his ways, but the king refused. The medium warned, "Repent, the gods are angry," and then left the palace. In a different village, there lived a young man named Thazo. He sat in a hut with the elders, eagerly waiting for his bride. They informed him that now that he was married, he should go back to his father's village. Thazo understood that the land didn't belong to him, but he admitted not knowing anything about his father's land. Despite this, the elders insisted he follow the cultural practice. One of his uncles took him aside and revealed, "You're my sister's son, and I love you. The land you're heading to is not good. The king there takes others' wives and eats their animals." Thazo, shocked at this news, remembered the beautiful girl who was to be his wife and said, "I can't do that." The uncle reassured him, "I'll give you some herbs. If the king touches your wife, he'll get sick and might even die if he doesn't confess." Thazo received the herbs, and the next morning, he and his new bride began their journey. They walked for 7 days and arrived in Mazo village on the 8th day at dawn. As they passed by the river where women were washing and getting water, the villagers looked at them in confusion, unsure of their origin. Some even thought they might be spies, and women ran to inform their husbands. A group of men approached and escorted them to the village head. Thazo explained his story, and eventually, the village head recognized him as one of their own. He introduced Thazo to his relatives, and they were given a hut to live in. Thazo lived in Mazo village, constantly fearful due to the king's wicked actions. He took great care to avoid encountering the king and advised his wife to stay away from him as well. One day, the king decided to take a stroll around his land, enjoying the beauty of nature. Accompanied by 2 guards, he walked near the river and heard a soft humming sound. Intrigued, he followed the sound and discovered a woman singing beautifully by the river. Curious about her origins, the king approached and asked, "Woman, where are you from?" The woman, startled to see a man in royal clothes, realized it must be the king. She became nervous, and the king, noticing her fear, insisted, "Answer me." She replied, and the king ordered his guards to take her to the palace, unable to resist his habit of not passing by a beautiful woman without taking notice. Mazo was brought to the palace and placed in a hut typically reserved for the king's concubines. The maids then dressed her nicely, and she was sent to the king. When the king saw her beauty, his heart raced like never before, and he desired to make her his mistress. Approaching Mazo, he began exploring her features with his hands. However, as soon as he kissed her, he felt a sharp pain in his stomach, forcing him to stop. The pain intensified, and he screamed, rolling on the floor. Guards rushed in to assist the king and turned their attention to Mazo. The king yelled, "Kill the woman, she is so evil," and Mazo was taken away and confined in a dungeon. The next day, a spirit medium arrived at the palace early in the morning, loudly proclaiming, "King, release the woman, or you'll face death." After delivering the message, the spirit medium departed. Despite the king's initial refusal to heed the warning, he eventually recognized that the pain was escalating and ordered the guards to bring Mazo to him. Mazo was brought before the king, who questioned her about their origins before arriving in his land. As she explained the whole story, the king and his advisors realized that Mazo's husband had used herbs on her. The king immediately sent for the husband, Thazo. Upon Thazo's arrival, he was angered to hear that the king desired his wife, but relieved that nothing serious had happened. Despite initial reluctance, Thazo agreed to set the king free after being promised fertile land, livestock, and a position as one of the king's advisors. These benefits seemed worthwhile, and Thazo directed them to his uncle. Within a few days, the king recovered, and his behavior changed for the better. Thazo, now a wealthy and respected figure, became one of the richest individuals in the village and earned respect not only locally but also at the palace. The subsequent days brought prosperity to the people. Hunger and starvation were no longer issues, rivers remained full, and Mazo village gained renown for its wealth and abundance.